2-2.
And Pardinho, he made a couple of good moves over to first base. Lombard's bouncing off the base. He could get picked off.
Takes off on the pitch, and it's hit foul. That can't be fun. You've been sizing a pitcher up for 4 pitches, and when you finally go, guy hits it foul up the third baseline.
He had a good jump. This is his first spring training camp with the Yankees.
Got to be a pretty big vote of confidence when you're 19 and you're in Major League spring training.
Yeah, he was number 1 pick a couple years ago in 2023. His dad's been telling me about Junior for a long time. He said Junior's going to be a good player, and here he is in the big league camp.
Ground ball hit over the head of Toronto. Fair ball down the right field line. Lombard burning it around the bases, headed around third and trying to score. Headed to third is Munguia. And it's a 1-run ball game on an RBI triple.
Pardinho throws a breaking ball down, and it's bounced down the first base line, and it's going to go all the way into the corner. He's going to end up at third base as Lombard scores all the way from first base on a 2-out triple, and Pardinho will be removed from the ball game. We'll have a new pitcher when we come back.
Ben Shulman, Buck Martinez, and Hazel May on hand. Charlie Liebrandt out for a 3rd inning of work for the Yankees, and the first at-bat of the spring for Charles McAdoo. I remember last year, around the deadline, the Blue Jays made the trade to Pittsburgh. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa went that way. McAdoo came back. And, Buck, if I remember right, you were pretty intrigued at the time of what McAdoo could bring, as he hits a ball high and deep to center field, and it's just going to get run down in center. But I guess we can see what's intriguing about McAdoo.
Yeah, I've watched Charles all spring long, and he's got some pop in that bat. Third baseman, and he's a pretty intriguing guy, very talented. And Blue Jays did a nice job of picking up some talent, adding to their depth in those trades. And you can see he just missed hitting a home run in his first at-bat in spring training. He's got a quick bat. He's got a strong arm defensively from third base, and it's going to be interesting watching him through the rest of this spring.
Fly ball, by the way, tracked down by new center fielder Jackson Castillo. There's R.J. Schreck coming off a very nice season in the Blue Jays system. Los Angeles native, drafted out of Vanderbilt by the Seattle Mariners, and he smokes the ball to right field, but that one's going to get caught as well. Good contact, nothing to show for it for the Blue Jays.
Schreck went to high school in California at Harvard-Westlake, and you remember that high school where those 3 pitchers were all number 1 picks out of Harvard-Westlake a few years ago. Max Fried, Jack Flaherty, and Lucas Giolito all went to high school at Harvard-Westlake, as did R.J. Schreck, and then he went to Vanderbilt. Put a nice swing on that one.
Now it's Alan Rodin at the plate for the Blue Jays, one of their top prospects. Fouls it back. There's been some lofty discussions about Alan Rodin and what he could potentially do this year if things go right. Do you think, Buck, that Rodin could find himself in the big leagues this year?
Not right out of camp. I just think there's too much competition, and he needs to really get back to AAA, get regular at-bats. I like his potential. I see a little Kyle Schwarber there.
Okay.
Same type of hitter. He's got a very good eye at the plate, very disciplined at the plate. But once again, the adjustment to AAA is pretty dramatic. but it's even more so from AAA to the big leagues. I don't think there's ever been a wider gap than there is between the minor leagues and the majors than there is right now. Most of the talent's in the big leagues, and facing big league pitchers is a totally different story than facing minor leagues.
His hit on the hand right there. No, it actually hit him on the knob of the bat, so the throwdown.
Jergens Natural Glow Sun Drops. Just drop, mix with my lotion, and glow. The feel-good feeling of Jergens.
Hey, Meta, what is this artwork?
Comedian by Mauricio Catalan, worth $6.2 million.
What?
Make your house feel like home with 50% off home decor right now at Hobby Lobby.
And a first from Leibrandt will end the inning. Well, 2 loud outs and a really awkward out, but for Leibrandt, a scoreless frame. It's still 4-3 Blue Jays after 6.
Of course, one thing the Yankees are missing, Soto and Judge together. Teams just always kept their eye. When are they coming up? When are they coming up? I mean, those two back-to-back were tough to think about.
Called strike 3. Andrew Velasquez goes down, and there's 1 out.
Yeah, I think that's one thing the Yankees, they're going to miss that. Soto was so good at getting on base, and once you have a guy like that getting on base consistently ahead of Aaron Judge, your offense is going to be much more productive. And I think last year, when Jason Dominguez did come back from Tommy John surgery, he didn't produce offensively like they had hoped, and they had to go with Alex Verdugo in left field. But now Dominguez is healthy. He's penciled in to start every day in left field, and it's still not going to be the dynamic duo of Soto and Judge, but they still think they have enough to compete and win the East again.
And they made one huge change in the offseason, Buck. They are now allowed to grow facial hair below their top lip. It was, at least to me, shockingly big news. But it is a thing now. The Yankees no longer have that signature look. And maybe some vindication for Blue Jays bench coach Don Mattingly, who wore a goatee at one point in the latter stages of his career in the 90s.
Yeah, and Donnie and George Steinbrenner went round and round about the length of his hair early on. And Donnie, he had longer hair, and he kind of liked wearing it that way. One of my favorite stories is, though, that with Lou Piniella and George Steinbrenner. Piniella came to camp with long hair one time, and George says, Lou, that's not going to work. And Lou said, listen, George, if long hair and a beard was good enough for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I think it should be good enough for the Yankees. And George Steinbrenner says, Lou, follow me. And he went over to a nearby pool and said, as soon as you walk across that pool, you could wear long hair. So George Steinbrenner, he had an answer for everything, and he certainly shot down Lou Piniella in a heartbeat.
1-2 pitches hit through the right side by Jesus Rodriguez. The substitute catcher gets base hit. For more on the Yankees changes, let's go down to Hazelmet.
Guys, I reached out to Blue Jays reliever Chad Green, who spent his first 7 seasons in the majors with the Yankees, and he told me that the no facial hair policy was a topic of conversation at many times during the season among his New York teammates. He said it was almost like a running joke. Make sure you have a razor handy if you saw someone with a little too much stubble. I asked him if that policy could potentially deter players from signing with the Yankees. Green said there is a chance, especially if a guy likes his long hair or beard and doesn't want to shave every other day. He thought that the change is long overdue. Also, guys, Aaron Judge, I spoke to a member of the New York media. Aaron Judge did not want the policy to change too drastically because it was things like that that set the Yankees apart from other teams. He liked that they were different from the other 29 teams in that respect. Guys?
And Hazel, it is true that it's not all beards. It's, quote, well-groomed beards that fly with the Yankees at this point. So it's not going to be a late 2000s Red Sox situation where you have a bunch of guys with long, shaggy hair and long beards, but...
Or Brandon Marsh with the...
Yeah. Not going to see Charlie Blackmon.
Nah. But I kind of agree with Aaron Judge. You know, I like the fact that the Yankees have the same traditional uniforms. They don't have their names on the back of their uniforms. And it's like, you know, when you go to the Yankees, I mean, Jason Giambi signed with the Yankees and shaved before he ever got there. I mean, everybody knew what the situation was, and it was a rule for over 50 years. And, yeah, it might be time to change the rules. And you know me, I'm more old school than anybody, but I can understand, Just present yourself in a proper fashion. Eric Davis actually spoke out about it today, the great star for the Cincinnati Reds, who had similar rules. Uniform is always the same. Red Sox always the same. So, yeah, it's interesting. The times have changed. I get that.
Roderick Arias strikes out there, but a stolen base for Jesus Rodriguez, and there's a runner on second with 2 outs. I mean, heck, even Rougned Odor shaved his beard when he went over to the Yankees for that brief stretch. But what you might see is a little bit more of the beards like Devin Williams, their new closer, who is not sporting a long, shaggy beard, but potentially will keep his facial hair that he had in Milwaukee, as Tyler Hardman takes the first pitch down and away, 1-0.
Well, beards obviously are very much in vogue around, all over the place. And I guess you just have to change with the times.
1-0 is up and in. It'll be interesting to see, though, this by-day progress if you follow the Yankees at all of who is going to grow out their beard and who isn't.
Well, you remember Garrett Cole had a beard when he was in Houston.
Yeah.
And he shaved before he ever got to the Yankees, but he always wanted to play for the Yankees.
A little bit more going on before he was a Yankee, when he was with the White Sox or with the Giants.
Well, I'm glad the Yankees are
the stretch. The 3-1. Hit well, but well foul. 3-2.
One thing we haven't talked about in Yankee camp is the fact that Giancarlo Stanton hasn't swung a bat yet.
Yeah.
He's got tennis elbow in both of his elbows, and it's been a big, painful situation. He addressed it and said he played with it last year most of the season. Of course, he had a great post series, but that's a concern.
It certainly is, as Hardman takes a full count walk.
One other thing we haven't mentioned yet is the fact that Aaron Boone got a contract extension. He has done a great job. This is his 8th season with the Yankees, and he has a 2-year extension. I was able to congratulate him today for that, and he's done a terrific job in New York. Of course, he comes from a great line of baseball people, his grandfather and his dad, and so many people who have played. His brothers played in big leagues, and he's a terrific manager for the New York Yankees.
Won his first pennant last season, and he told me, or really he agreed with me, I said, some decisions might be a little easier for you this year with the bullpen, and he said, it's going to be a little easier. Devin Williams at the back end. When you have Luke Weaver closing you playoff games all the way to the World Series, and now he's your setup man,
Yeah.
he's in a good spot.
And they lost Clay Holmes, too, who had been such a good reliever for them. Not necessarily a great closer, but everybody's adjusted. The entire division has made some adjustments. The Red Sox made some pretty interesting adjustments as well.
When asked by the Yankees reporters today about the division, Boone did say he felt like it was even more than other years, a year where everyone into this season. That was his opinion, at least.
Yeah, when you think of Boston, and they got Garrett Crochet in a trade from the White Sox, they signed Walker Buehler, the Dodger pitcher, to a free agent contract, and most recently, of course, Alex Bregman. And if you look at Bregman's numbers playing at Fenway Park, they're stupid.
Really good.
They're really stupid numbers. I mean, he's right there with DiMaggio hitting in that ballpark, and with great Manny Ramirez and guys that have really flourished at Fenway. Alex Bregman is right there with all of them.
Swing and a miss at the 2-1. It's 2.
interesting. And Bregman's saying all the right things. He said, I'll play second if you want, whatever. To address their pitching staff. Corbin Burns, of course, left and signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they've got that great core of young position players. But, the pitching is going to be a concern, I think, in Baltimore.
And they're under new ownership. Huge moves as the 3-2 is hit back foul.
Charlie Morton, a veteran, was signed to a one-year contract, and he, like Scherzer and Verlander, in their 40s now. And, yeah, they can pitch, but how much do they have left in the tank? It was interesting. They all got the same contract, $15.5 million for 1 year.
One chopped foul again. Tyler O'Neill brought to Baltimore, the Canadian left fielder that essentially goes in the spot of Anthony Santander, and then a couple moves around the fringes. They mentioned the Orioles that their payroll is up, although a lot of that has to do with their arbitration and younger players just getting raises. 3-2 pitch is hit high left field. Shrek backing up, and he'll make the catch to end the inning. Scoreless frame for Loveloo, who pitched a scoreless inning in a third. So we take it to the second.
Stolen base, him and Ernie. But he's just such an all-around solid player. And
pieces that you've added, whether it be on the pitching side, starting or bullpen, or in the lineup, a lot of different tools for you this year.
Yeah, man, I like where we are, and I think if you look at, if you're sitting in September of last year and you say you can get Yimi Garcia, Jimenez, Sandlin, Jeff Hoffman, Max Scherzer, I don't know if I'm forgetting anyone. That's pretty good. Take that. Santana.
Sometimes it takes a different approach to see the possibilities all around you.
Great skin starts here. From clearing to brightening, Hand & Stone delivers real results you can...
Sorry, that one. That's a pretty big one. But it's I like where everyone's kind of fitting in, and I like the way they're going about their work so far. It's cool when you have kind of a veteran group, but then you get some really good players around that, but you get really good people in the clubhouse too. So it's been kind of cool to watch that unfold.
John, when you certain understanding of who they are, but when you see them firsthand, how impressed have you been with the way these newcomers have really melded with your holdover players?
Yeah, it's great. I think those three guys with Tony, Jimenez, Scherzer, really, it's really kind of just nice. They're all business, it's all about winning, and I think that just does a lot for the guys that we already have here. It's encouraging to watch Bo's at bats, Kirky's at bats today. Hopefully they can just be them this year. But I think when you add in people that are just solely about winning around that, it really just elevates everyone around them. So it's been really, really encouraging to kind of add those pieces. And I think that the guys that have been here have been, around each other enough to understand what makes everyone good.
When you look at Max Scherzer, and we know what a great pitcher he's been for a long time, but yesterday I watched every move he made as he prepared for that live batting practice session. And you were standing right ready to pitch the World Series game. What was your impression of Max Scherzer yesterday?
Pretty much that. We've he's healthy, and we don't want him to do anything he's not capable of, right? But really just, I think he's going to elevate not only the young pitchers we have here, too.
A short time, but a good time. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, you bet. Sorry it was short-lived, but we'll do it again soon.
Talk to you soon. We'll be back in a moment. More Blue Jays and Yankees. Eighth inning in Dunedin, and a new pitcher for the Blue Jays, Anders Tolhurst, is on for Toronto, a right-hander out of California. And he pitches.
Coming to the game, this reflects the fact that there are a few pitchers that are dinged up in regular big league camp. These guys aren't even in camp yet, and Adam Klopfenstein, who was brought back in, he's dealing with a shoulder issue. We talked about Eric Swanson's got a little bit of forearm, so they're a little bit behind, so you have to dig down into your minor league camp. And there are many minor leaguers already in camp, even though it's not officially open yet. So you have the resources now. Since the new PDC has been developed, minor leaguers are right next.
Coming off a very solid season, split between high A and double A. ERA just above 3, and struck out 75 guys, only walked 14 in the season, more than 5-1 strikeouts to walks. Castillo.
Talk about another pitcher that's down early on is Adam Macko, a young left-handed pitcher. He pitched at Vauxhall out in Calgary, and he had knee surgery, so he had his knee cleaned up, and he's not available to the
Thursday to repair that meniscus tear in his left knee. He experienced some discomfort in that knee following a side session last weekend. John Schneider said his timetable will be a little more clearer, guys, once he returns to the PDC after he gets back and recovers a little bit. Ben.
Thank you, Hazel. And kind of interesting there, Stefanik makes the play for Tolhurst. Stefanik told me yesterday when he came over to the Blue Jays, the only guy he really knew in the entire organization was Tolhurst. They work out at the same place in the offseason, so they had a bit of a connection, but other than that, a completely new organization for Stefanik.
Split time last year between and the Angels and had a chance to play for Ron Washington. And he said that was a great experience. He said Washington is a font of baseball knowledge and a great instructor. It's as important for an infielder like Stefanik.
High fly ball to right field, backing up Rodin, and we are tied. Home run for Alexander Vargas makes it 4-4 as the Yankees have come all the way back.
Vargas turns on us, just got enough height to sneak over the fence in right field above the Blue Jays bullpen, and here we are in the 8th inning at 4-4.
Jared Wegner up to the plate, takes strike one from Tolhurst. It's all substitutes now for the Yankees, just like the Blue Jays. Now 0-2. Wegner played most of his collegiate career with the Creighton Blue Jays, and then a final season with the mighty Arkansas Razorbacks, where he hit .313 in 2023. Wegner. For the first time in the game. 18th rounder by the Yankees out of the University of Washington. Selected in 2023. He gets it foul 0-1. Most of last season at the single-A level. 23-year-old moved up to double-A for 15 games. Pardon me, to high-A, not double-A. Pitch outside, 2-1. This is the first Blue Jays spring training game of the season, but it's the second for the Yankees, who kicked off the Florida schedule yesterday with former Blue Jay Marcus Stroman getting the start in the first game of spring. Yankees beat the Rays 4-0. Hunter goes, and the throw down to second from Sanchez. Not in time.
Yeah, Stroman's had an interesting start to his camp, obviously. He is not penciled in the initial rotation for New York. He says, I am a starter, I am not a reliever. And right now the Yankees have a full complement of starters, and he's on the outside looking in. So it's going to be interesting to keep track of that and see how that develops the rest of spring training.
Swing and a miss.
Another thing that started to rekindle is talks between the Cardinals and the Astros regarding Nolan Arenado. You know, the Cardinals tried to trade Arenado, and he turned down the trade to Houston early on. But it seems as though they've rekindled those discussions.
Fly ball to left center, going back, Stuart Baroa. And he'll make the catch. Tag it from second. Wegner advances 90 feet. 2 outs. The Cardinals have been very forthright that they're trying to trade Arenado. he wants to go to a contender. It was a short list before, but maybe starting to feel he can get a little bit looser with that. And the Cardinals want to play Nolan Gorman at third, so they're motivated to move him as well.
Well, you know what changes? Money.
Right.
Money changes a lot of people's attitude, and of course he can be bought out. There's no trade. And replace him with a 10-time Gold Glove. And yeah, you know, obviously Arenado isn't in the prime of his career, but he certainly has a lot left for me. initially will start at second base.
Velasquez fly ball to center, reeled in, and that'll do it for the top of the eighth. Time tie ball game after the solo home run from Alexander Vargas. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 4-4. And the Yankees and a new pitcher on the mound for the Bronx Bombers, Colton Brewer, is into the game.
Yeah, the veteran pitcher was originally drafted by the Pirates. He's now 32 years old. He has spent parts of 6 seasons in the major leagues, including 3 different seasons with the Boston Red Sox. Missed all of 2022, back with the Yankees in 23, and pitched for the Cubs last year. Made 16 appearances for the Cubbies.
The majority of his career appearances came in 2019 as a Red Sox. Was a big part of their pen that year. He's also got a little experience as he's trying to work out his PitchCom device, pitching in Japan, pitched for the Hanshin Tigers. Trying to work it out right now with Jesus Rodriguez, the substitute catcher. And it looks like everyone's ready to go.
Yeah. And you went to Japan to play, or Korea for that matter, that you'd kind of admitted that your big league career was over, but that's no longer the case. Back and
way outside.
wow, and the Blue Jays had a terrific example. They saw play for the Tigers in Cecil Fielder. He came up originally with the Blue Jays after being traded from the Kansas City Royals. He went to Japan and then came back as a slugger for the Tigers and then ended up playing for the Yankees as well. Another guy that pitched a long time in the big leagues that went to Japan was Colby Lewis, who pitched in Texas and had a good run in Texas after being a first-round pick of the Rangers. And he went to Japan, enjoyed a lot of success over there, and came back and had a fine finish to his career.
What do you think happens over there that allows guys to unlock something and then come back?
Just the opportunity to play. Right. They go over there and they get a chance to pitch where they might be a 7th, 8th, 9th starter in the big leagues. They go over there and they become a 2 or 3 starter, get a chance to pitch regularly. I think that's what happened to Cecil. He went over there as a very young player and got a chance to play every day. And that really helped him.
Ground ball skips past Velasquez, so Toronto's on first.
So I think when you go to Japan, it's just an opportunity to play, and you get regular at-bats or regular innings as a pitcher, you come back with a lot of confidence.
Error on Velasquez, the third baseman, a leadoff base runner for the Blue Jays, and Ali Sanchez gets to bat again against Colton Brewer. For Brewer, this is his 3rd different stint with the Yankees organization. Was a minor league Rule 5 pick of the Yankees in 2017. Split 2023 between the Yankees and Japan. And then this appearance coming back on a minor league deal with the Yankees, pitching here in spring. Toronto takes off. Pitch is called a ball, and the throw down to second might have been there, but it bounced past the glove of Vargas, so it's a stolen base for Toronto.
Yeah, and that's the 3rd stolen base by the Blue Jays here this afternoon, and Riley Toronto is not a guy that you think about stealing a lot of bases, but he got a good jump, and a short throw from the catcher allowed him to get into scoring position.
In the zone with the 2-0 pitch to make it 2-1. Ali Sanchez, part of the competition for the backup catcher spot for the Blue Jays. Guy with major league experience, mostly last year, 31 games with Miami.
Yeah, interview with on Andres Jimenez early on. They're good pals. They're both in Venezuela. And they've played together in the minors. They played together in winter ball. And he says, Sanchez is a very good catcher, very smart catcher. Has a lot of experience playing in the minors and in winter ball. And as you mentioned, he got a little bit more experience last year in the big leagues.
It's a chopper and a diving stop by Velasquez. Throw over to first. Beautiful play.
Well, yeah, nice play at third, but a great piece of base running by Triota as he moved up. He recognized that the third baseman was taken out of position because he has to play the ground ball, and he alertly moved from second to third. Once the third baseman has to play that ball, he dives, and Triota moves up on the ground ball. That's terrific base running. Those are the types of things the Blue Jays coaches are looking at. Watch his reaction at second. He sees the third baseman dive for it and moves over to third base, and that's a big move right there.
Big swing by Stuart Burroa. That one gets down on the warning track. Toronto's going to score. Burroa up to second base in a flash. Blue Jays fans know him well. It's an RBI double for the Blue Jay outfielder last season.
Well, Stuart Burroa is an interesting guy. He got a lot of time last year with the Blue Jays in the big leagues. Didn't get a lot of playing time, but he was up there for a while. And he's got a nice set of skills. Jumps on that high pitch and hits it over the right fielder's head, and that's going to cash in the runner from third base.
So 5-4 Blue Jays. They take the lead back as Charles McAdoo swings and misses. Interesting to note, Buck, all three Blue Jays stolen bases today have led to that runner coming in to score.
Yeah, that's going to be brought up by the Blue Jays coaches for sure. Look at what we did today. We have one home run. That was off the bat of Aromas Martinez, but we have scored runs because we played small ball. Took advantage of base running opportunities and cashed them in.
Broken bat, soft grounder to third. Velasquez tosses it over to first. Up to third base goes Burroa. 2 outs. There might not be, a big ticket 50 stolen base guy on the Blue Jays, but if you look at Jimenez, when he gets healthy, Varsho, Springer's been pretty prolific recently, Ernie Clement, maybe there's a potential to have 5 or 6 guys chip in to make this a good base stealing team?
Yeah, and you know what, if they get 15 steals from those guys you mentioned, that's a good number. And, they don't have much speed last year. Burroa is a guy that can serve as a pinch runner as he did last year coming off the bench, but you just have to be more athletic, and especially when you're not hitting home runs at the pace you did 2 years ago. You have to create runs different ways.
I don't want to leave out Jonathan Clase either, who maybe could be a big ticket 50 stolen base guy if he had the runway at the major league level. That pitch gets away from the plate. Burroa's going to use his speed to score. Well, that's high-flying, full-throttle baseball right there. Stuart Burroa racing around the bases, and it's 6-4 Blue Jays.
Yeah, and Burroa was I believe he was acknowledging Carlos Fabulous, the third base coach. Watch how quickly he breaks for home. That ball was headed in the dirt initially, and Fabulous, I'm sure, gave him a reminder, hey, you see something in the dirt, don't hesitate. And he scores standing up.
Now ball on the ground to first base is going to get picked up. It's step on first there for Hardman to retire R.J. Schreck. 2 runs for the Blue Jays created by speed, and we go to the 9th with Toronto up 6-4. Get your 10th, Buck, set up on the 17th. Wait for the 18th. Blue Jays up 6-4 right now, top of the 9th. I'm Ben Schulman alongside Buck Martinez. Hazel May down on the field. Second inning of work for Tolhurst, and a swing and a miss for Jesus Rodriguez. It's 1-1. Tolhurst pitch. Down and away, 2-1. Some pretty nice performances so far today for the Blue Jays, especially when you look at the pitchers who began this game. Easton Lucas, Brendan Little, Zach Pop, Mason Fluharty all pitched scoreless frames to begin the game.
And I thought the thing that I was impressed with was how efficient they were. Easton Lucas threw 26 pitches. Brandon Little in his inning of work.
What are you doing?
We're living the Dolce Vita.
Is this your idea?
Enjoy the intense flavor of Lavazza Dolce Vita.
Great skin starts here. From clearing to brightening, Hand & Stone delivers real results.
Just 8 pitches. That popped a little bit of problem. He threw 20 pitches, but then Fluharty came in, had a good inning of work, and it took just 13 pitches. So I'm sure Pete Walker was pleased with the efficiency of most of the pitchers here this afternoon.
Swinging a fly ball right field. On the run is Roden, and a nice running catch. 1 down. Speaking of pitchers, Blue Jays have a handful of games in the next couple of days, and you're going to see a handful of their starters or feature pitchers for this season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Ariel Rodriguez will be down at Fort Myers pitching against the Red Sox, and then Jake Bloss, who was acquired in that trade for Kikuchi from the Astros. Bowden Francis Monday at Lakeland, and then on Tuesday we'll be back on the air as the Blue Jays take on the St. Louis Cardinals, and Max Scherzer will pitch that game. Wednesday, another TV game. Philadelphia's here in Dunedin, and that'll be Jose Barrios. So make sure you don't miss those 2 games. You get a chance to see Max Scherzer and Jose Barrios in back-to-back starts, our next 2 broadcasts.
Tomorrow you can see the Blue Jays game on Sportsnet 1 or listen on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Wave going around here in the latter stages of the game as Arias fouls it back 2-1.
A good turnout here for game 1. It's always the case here in Dunedin. They've done a terrific job of refurbishing this ballpark. Nobody has left the standing room area out in the outfield. They're still packed out there. Of course, a lot of Canadians are down here, and they think this weather is wonderful.
Oh, yeah. It's cold for the Floridians. It's not for the Canadians.
Yeah, you can tell all the Canadians are the ones that are wearing shorts.
Look, as long as you're not stepping knee-deep in snow right now, at least speaking for the Torontonians, that's a big win weather-wise. 3-2 pitch. Line to center field, and that'll get down in front of Barreau. Well, you mentioned the updates. It's interesting talking to a guy like Jeff Hoffman, who was here a while ago and now back, and he said it is great to be in this facility. It really seemed like a big deal for him to be in the facility that the Blue Jays have now, both here and the PDC, the Player Development Complex.
I saw him in 2014 throw for the first time on Field 1 back at the old complex at Engelbert. Yeah, we had a chat about that. He's thrilled to be back with the Blue Jays because he grew up in upstate New York in Albany. He said his family and all his close friends have already checked their passports to make sure they're ready to go. Looking forward to coming to Toronto when the Blue Jays are at home. But he's got 4 kids, and he said, my time in Philadelphia was great because my boys are really into baseball, and we were surrounded by some great players there. And the same is the case here with the Blue Jays again.
Being an upstate New York guy, maybe he was going to Auburn Double Days games and stuff around there. He could have caught a little bit of what the Blue Jays were offering. Called strike 3, and the Blue Jays 1 out away. Hernandez up to the plate, runner on first, and Anders Tolhurst on the bump. Ground ball up the middle, and that's going to get into center field, and the Yankees keep this one going, now bringing the go-ahead run to the plate.
Possibility of a tie game. Generally, this time of the spring, first or second game, that's the case for the Yankees. This is their second game. they generally don't want to pitch extra innings. They have a number of pitchers that come here and a limited number of innings, so very rarely will you see extra innings in spring training.
Only so many guys can fit on the bus, and you're bringing a lot of your younger guys too. You don't want to put added stress on some of those guys.
Yeah, you bring a lot of guys just in case you have somebody knocked out of the game early, or the unfortunate situation where you might have an injury, so you make sure you got coverage to pitch 9 innings at least, but not often do you see extra inning games.
Zollers putting in a shift for the Blue Jays. 36 pitches he's thrown. An inning in 2/3 already recorded for him. Looking for one more out here to secure the Blue Jays' first win of the spring.
Ali Sanchez asked for time as Stowhurst was ready to deliver the pitch, and Sanchez wasn't sure he had the same pitch on his mind.
Strike there as they got back on the same page, and it's 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Zollhurst gets Castillo, and the Blue Jays defeat the Yankees to open up their spring schedule. Final score of 6-4. A fun one, Buck.
Yeah, man, a good opportunity for John Snyder to see some of the regulars. He had Bichette and Jimenez and Guerrero, Alejandro Kirk all in the starting lineup, and they played well, and Jimenez had a run score.
Before this begins too, I was absolutely pathetic during it, and I don't even know if I really spoke words after a certain point. I was tired, I was angry, and I felt like shit, to be honest with you, for most of the day. Had a sore throat for the last couple of days, had a headache. I think I've been yelling too much. Plus I was trying very hard. I can't lie. Alright, see ya.
Around first and hustling for second is
his damn face.
That's only one.